December 31st, 1944, the last dawn of the year. Over northern Europe, the sky looks like frozen steel. 40 degrees below zero, and the air feels sharp enough to cut skin. Inside the cockpit of a B-17 called the Little Skipper, Lieutenant Glenn Rojan grips the control column with gloved hands, his breath fogging up the oxygen mask. Beside him, co-pilot William Luke checks the gauges, oil steady, manifold pressure good. 4 engines rumble steady, the sound of flying fortresses moving toward war. Their target, Hamburg. The oil refineries that keep the German war machine alive. Through the frosted glass canopy, the sun flashes off the wings of 100 bombers. You can almost feel the vibration in your chest, like a heartbeat made of metal and fire. This is it, Rojan mutters. The last run of the year. Then the sky erupts. Black bursts of flak tear open the clouds, each one exploding like a black flower made of smoke and steel. The plane shudders. The sound, deep, metallic, rattles through the fuselage. Jesus, they've got the range on us. Inside the plane, it smells of cold aluminum and burnt cordite. Every surface trembles. Every breath tastes of fear and engine oil. Rojan peers through the canopy and sees a B-17 on his left. Fools rush in, take a direct hit. It veers right, trailing flame, and collides with another fortress. Cramps, tramps. The 2 aircraft twist together like a dying bird. Wings breaking apart, spinning into the clouds below. "They're gone," Leak whispers. "No one could live through that." For a moment, there's only silence, and then tiny white dots bloom in the sky. Parachutes. 3, 4, 6 shoots. Navigator, log it. Rojan exhales, slowly, hands still locked on the controls, eyes on the grey horizon ahead. 6 men made it out. Guess the year's not done with us yet. The engines roar on, the flak still bursting around them, and somewhere in that endless winter sky, a crew of young men keep flying straight into hell, because that's the job. Altitude 24,000 feet. Temperature 40 below zero. The bomb bay's empty. Hamburg's burning behind them. Lieutenant Glenn Rojan and his crew in the Little Skipper turn west toward the North Sea, right into the teeth of the Luftwaffe.
Altitude 25,000,
There's no time
temperature
to
holding
breathe.
steady at minus
Bandits.
50. We are
11
on
o'clock
course.
high. 2 German Mi-262 jets dive from above silver blurs, cutting through the thin clouds. They're doing 500 miles an hour, maybe more. Their 30mm cannons open up, and the sky just erupts. A fortress ahead takes a direct hit, gone in an instant. The shockwave slams. The Little Skipper hard enough to rattle teeth. The altimeter jumps, wings creak, oxygen masks hiss. Everyone's shouting at once. Then come the BF 109 seconds, coming straight in head-on. 700 miles an hour closing speed. Their tracers cut across the formation like red lightning. Rojan grips the yoke tight. Stay tight! Stay tight! 50 cals roar back, the whole plane shaking like it's coming apart. Empty shells cascade across the floor, bouncing off boots. The smell of cordite fills the cabin, bitter, metallic, choking. Off the right wing, Faithful Forever takes a burst. Engine 3 bursts into flame, then Engine 4. Over the radio, Faithful Forever going down. The fortress rolls once and drops through the clouds. Seconds later, 6 white parachutes open below. Rojan nods once. Navigator, mark their position. The formation's down to 7 ships. Flak's still heavy, and the air is rough, the whole box flexing in the turbulence. Suddenly, sunlight flashes across the top of the canopy. 8 o'clock high. Mustangs. 4p 51 seconds. Dive in, clean, fast, guns blazing. They tear through the German fighters, scattering them in seconds. Cheers echo through the intercom. That's our boys. But the relief is short-lived. The escort leader radios back, diverting east to cover the second wave. Just like that, they're gone. Now it's quiet again. 5 fortresses left, running low, engines bleeding oil, the horizon just grey haze. Inside the cockpit, you can hear the engines droning steady, low, the sound that means you're still alive. Nobody says a word, because they all know what this sky means. One mistake, one lucky shell, and you're gone. Just another black smoke trail over Germany. 23,000 feet over northern Germany. The formation is breaking up, flak still bursting, the air thick with smoke and falling debris. Up ahead, 9 lives. Another B-17 has taken a direct hit to the cockpit. Both pilots are dead. But somehow, the fortress keeps flying, climbing slowly, nose high, all 4 engines still turning. Rojon's crew can see it drifting upward across their path. He tries to correct, pulling back on the yoke, throttling down, but there's no time. A sound like tearing metal fills the sky. The 2 bombers slam together, nose to belly. The shock throws Rojon's hands off the controls. Leek's knees hit the instrument panel. The ship jerks, shakes, and groans like it's about to come apart. Inside the cockpit, warning lights flash red. Oxygen lines snap loose. Then silence. Just the sound of the engines, out of sync. Rojon steadies the yoke and looks out the window. Below him, another B-17. The nose of 9 lives is lodged in the little skipper's belly. Both aircraft are locked together, still flying as one. 8 engines, 2 crews, 1 impossible machine. Inside 9 lives, Staff Sergeant Ed Woodall crawls out of his shattered turret. Smoke, oil, and twisted aluminum surround him. He looks up and sees the belly of another fortress, pressed against the roof above. He's trapped inside a flying wreck. On the little skipper, ball turret gunner Joe Russo is pinned in place. The collision jammed his turret into the other aircraft. He's alive, still talking through the interphone, his voice calm, steady, praying. Hail Mary, full of grace. The crew can hear him, but there's no way to reach him. Flames crawl across 9 lives' port wing, licking toward the skipper's fuselage. The vibration gets worse, like both planes are shaking apart. The burning prop spins unevenly, its rhythm fading like a heartbeat. Down below, German gunners stop firing. They can see what's happening. 2 bombers, locked together, still flying a sight no one on either side would ever forget. Down inside the little skipper, the crew knows something's gone terribly wrong. Their ball turret gunner, Joe Russo, is trapped. The collision jammed his turret halfway into the other bomber, twisted metal locking it tight. There's no way out. They try everything, turning the crank, shouting through the intercom, but nothing moves. And then, through the static, they hear his voice. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Nobody says a word. Every man stops what he's doing. In the middle of fire, smoke, and engine noise, his prayer cuts through calm. Up in the cockpit, co-pilot Bill Leek hears it too. He just sits there, frozen, listening. Later, he said, I couldn't help him, and I felt like I was intruding on something sacred. So he reaches up and quietly takes off his headset. It's his way of giving Russo peace. Behind them, the fortress burns. The floor shakes. The air smells like oil and metal and fear. But inside that flying wreck, for just a few seconds, everything feels still. Pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. For that moment, even the engines seem to quiet down. Just one man's voice echoing through the noise of war. 15,000 feet over northern Germany. 2 B-17 seconds welded together in midair are falling through smoke and fire. The controls shake like they're alive. One of 9 Lives' engines is burning. The cockpit is stifling hot. The air smells like oil and gunpowder. Every time the planes lurch, the metal screams. Glenn Rojon's gripping the yoke with both hands, sweat running down his face. Beside him, Bill Leake braces his boots against the panel, hauling back with all his strength. 8 engines, 4 above, 4 below, all out of sync, tearing the air apart. Come on, hold her steady. The 2 fortresses won't come apart. They're locked tight, a single dying machine. 50 caliber ammo starts cooking off in the flames, spraying bullets through the sky. It sounds like the 4th of July, if the 4th of July came from hell. Rojon knows the truth. If they crash into the sea, no one survives. The only chance is to make land. He grabs the intercom. We're turning inland. Get ready to bail. Below, the surviving crew move fast. They stumble through thick smoke and sparks raining from the ceiling. 3 men work frantically to free Russo from his turret, but it's crushed solid. He's still praying. They can hear him. There's nothing they can do. Rojon throttles back. Leake trims the engines. Somehow, against every law of physics, the 2 planes respond. The horizon tilts, slowly, painfully. Germany's coastline slides into view beneath the haze. For the first time since the collision, they have control. Barely. We're over land. Jump! All of you jump now. One by one, the crew leap through the tail hatch, vanishing into the freezing air. White parachutes opening against a backdrop of black smoke. Now it's just the 2 of them, Rojon and Leake alone in a burning cockpit. The heat sears through the floor. The metal glows orange. The yokes vibrate so hard their hands go numb. Rojon looks at Leake. Neither man speaks. They both know they're flying on borrowed time. The sky over Germany is a firestorm. Parachutes open behind them, flashes of white against black smoke, but not everyone makes it out. Joe Russo is still inside. The men in the waist can see him through the glass. He's calm, still praying. They try the crank one last time. It won't move. There's nothing left to do. God forgive us, one of them says, and they jump. Now, the little skipper carries only 2 men, Lieutenant Glenn Rojon and his co-pilot, Lieutenant Bill Leake. They're strapped into a machine that shouldn't even be flying. 2 fortresses fused nose to belly, shaking apart with every mile. Fire streaks from the lower plane's wing. Hydraulic fluid drips down through the control column. The air pressure is dropping fast. Rojon glances at his altimeter. 4,000 feet. Not much time. Bill, jump. That's an order. Negative. You can't hold her alone. Neither man argues after that. They just grip the yokes and ride it down together. The coastline appears through the haze fields, dunes, and the cold grey of the North Sea. German gun crews below spot the double bomber descending and lower their weapons. One officer yells, "Cease fire!" Those men are finished. At 12:30 p.m., the end comes. 9 Lives hits first. A flash, a roar, and a wall of smoke. The blast throws the little skipper upward like a tossed coin before it slams back to earth. Her left wing slices through a wooden shed. The nose buries deep into the frozen ground. Then, silence. Inside the wreck, Rojon coughs through the smoke. He's alive. Leake too. Somehow, both men have survived what physics said was impossible. Leake crawls out through a jagged hole in the fuselage, boots crunching on the icy soil. He's shaking, dazed, reaching for a cigarette when he hears shouting in German. He looks up. A soldier is aiming a rifle at him. For a split second, he thinks it's over. But the man isn't yelling in anger. He's warning. Stop! Don't move gasoline. Fuel is pouring down the side of the wreck. The soldier waves him away from the flames. In that frozen field, 2 enemies stand there, neither one pulling the trigger. The war, for that moment, had stopped, and all that's left are survivors. When the smoke finally clears, 10 men have survived, 6 from the little skipper, 4 from 9 Lives, all because 2 pilots refused to give up control of an impossible machine. Glenn Rojon and Bill Leake were captured that same day by German troops near Wangerooge. They were bruised, exhausted but alive. The enemy treated them not as targets, but as men who'd fought death and won. Months later, Rojon was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, but he never bragged about it. He never called himself a hero. When people asked how he made it out, he'd just say, "In all fairness to my co-pilot, he's the reason I'm alive today." No speeches, no big story. Just a quiet truth from a man who had seen enough fire for one lifetime. And that's what sticks. Not the crash, not the medals, but the way two men, trapped in the sky, chose duty over fear and humanity over survival. Because in war, courage isn't always about shooting back. Sometimes it's about holding on.